Hello, guys, and welcome back to What If Deku Killed. Well, not killed. Almost got you there, didn't I? What if Deku was Ghostface? Part 2. And also, I'm gonna be doing part 3 to this. So I'm gonna be doing What Ifs all day. And don't worry, to all of you, What If Goku landed in Fairy Tail is coming right after Yujiro, the Naruto reincarnation of Yujiro What If, and this one. So, without any further ado, let's get into the What If. So, Deku, or as we know him, Ghostface, has just brutally killed Mount Lady. I mean, when the cops came and seen her body, they seen her strung up by a tree, well, by the railing of her house, as similar to how Ghostface strung up the first kill in the movie Scream. Deku would use this as a picture or basically record the events of the kill. Her, and Kamui Woods. Deku had an idea. See, he wanted to become the symbol of fear. Deku had steps to go. I mean, nobody believed that he can be a hero. But with this power, I bet people will believe that he can be the symbol of fear. And like I said before, his fear manipulation powers can make a person so scared to the point they either have a heart attack. He can make his bloodlust so heavy to the point a person falls on their knees and throws up. He can also conjure up people's actual fears, like bringing them into a real life manifestation. Ghost intangibility. Well, yeah. Ghost intangibility to a somewhat degree. And I'm also going to be implementing the marked. So, this is how Ghostface marked power is going to work. When he's finished studying an opponent, when he's finished studying the way they move the back door and the front door to their apartment, when he's basically finished studying, examining his next victim, they become marked. And this is how the marked power is going to work. Nothing that they can do would hurt Ghostface. If they were to attack or if they were to punch or something like that, it would not work. Because Ghostface would say it like this: once I have you marked, you might as well just say it's game over. And it's not too OP, probably is, but let's just get into the story. So, Deku has now put Kamui Woods and Mount Lady on the internet. Both of their killings. He's recorded both of them. Even leaving pictures at the crime scene, and he's even spreading it all over social media. There's been a few copycats, but Deku doesn't care because those copycats were sooner or later caught. They weren't the real deal. They weren't the real Ghostface. But because Deku says instead of killing these guys for being pretenders, why not embrace them? Why not have, because this is what Deku wants. He wants his name to be known. He wants it to be copycats. He wants the symbol of fear to inspire criminals. So now Deku's next kill is going to be a couple of heroes. Basically, someone his age that he really doesn't see how this particular character got into UA. And this particular girl got into UA. But he's after both of them. Both of them are going to meet his knife as it's going to plunge into their rib cage, killing them ever so delightful. The first on his list was Monetta. So he was studying this boy, had been studying this boy for like 2 weeks. It wasn't very hard to know the in and outdoor to Monetta's lifestyle or how Monetta had worked. Deku it was an interesting kill because the only sense of attack or defense this boy has is the balls on his head. And basically, if he attach one off his head and sticks it to the wall, that's all it can do. But I suppose if he were to throw it at me, or if I were to step on it, he could be something more dangerous if he had a weapon. That is. So Deku has been studying Monetta for about 2 weeks. And let's go on a third week just to make sure everything was correct. So now that all the preparations were set, that all the encounters were met, this was Monetta's. Monetta was going to UA High School to see some busty women. And he was a quite pervert. Deku found that out. I mean, it was rarely easy. So now Monetta is marked. And he's next on the list. So one day, Monetta would come home only to find his parents on the ground, butchered to death. Monetta doesn't know what happened. He's freaking out. He's scared. He's running to the phone or something like that, and all of a sudden a knife just goes straight into his hand. While Monetta screams, he starts throwing his balls and everything, but Deku just grabs him by the neck and lifts him into the air. Very easy since Monetta's being so small. Monetta's is ridiculed, like he's overwhelmed by so much fear. You're GhostFace. Why did you kill my parents? Who are you? That's all Monetta is saying. And GhostFace is just looking at him, tilting his head as he grabs his knife and plunges it into Monetta's ribs. Monetta just gagged up blood as Ghostface threw him into a wall. Monetta tried to crawl away, even throwing his sticky balls at Ghostface, with him dodging it. See, Deku has put something on his outfit just so the balls, or he wouldn't have that problem with Monetta's sticky balls. And he goes to tell Monetta, you know, I did some studying on you. Those things on your head will not work against me. You're practically a weak hero, aren't you? Do you feel fear? Do you feel like throwing up? I wonder, what is your greatest fear, Monetta? Because fear can be so delightful. It can be so tasty. Every last one of my victims have felt an ounce of fear so heavy that it weighed a ton on their heart. So, do you feel fear? Monetta would be crying and screaming hysterically as he's trying to get away from Deku. But every time he runs, he feels like he's getting slower and slower and slower. He feels like his movement speed is just being taken away from him. And Deku grabs Monetta by the collar and stabs him dead through the neck as blood just gushes out everywhere. Deku beheads Monetta. And this, I'm sorry, but this series is very, very graphic, very blood and gory. Just to let you know that. Now, Monetta has just been beheaded, and Ghostface puts the body where the parents were. And then he takes a picture, uploads the killings on his site. Well, glimpses of it, as he's calling this movie Stab. See, what Deku wants to do, he wants to create so much publicity, so much infamous energy towards himself that it draws a lot, and I mean a lot of people, as Deku just killed Monetta. Now, he's after the next chick, who is known as the Invisible Girl. You see, Ghostface has did a lot of studying on her, and Deku has did a lot of studying on Invisible Girl. But let's not get into her yet, as we're going to explain how incredibly challenging or this news was. All Might felt so bad that one of his students got killed. Even Aizawa got so heartbroken that one of his students got caught up by the likes of Ghostface. The heroes would have a meeting. They say they need to do something about this Ghostface as he's becoming a huge threat. we can say he's almost becoming somewhat similar to All for One, but in a more brutal and horrific way. He's killed Mount Lady, he's killed Kamui Woods, and he's even killed a student of ours, Monetta. Now, we need to do something about this fast before he kills someone else. We don't know who's on his list, but we need to tread carefully. Tread lightly. Watch your backs. Protect yourselves. For we don't know what this guy or whoever he is capable of. So now we cut to the part where they had the funeral for Monetta and they all did that stuff right there. So now we're cutting to the part where Deku's he's just watching from afar away, and he's even watched on the news that GhostFace strikes another victim. Deku would be reading the newspaper as it said his title, and he would smile saying, "This is perfect. This is way perfect. Now they will know my name. Now this is gonna be a movie or somewhat of an example. I don't know yet, but I do know the title of this project is called Stab." Or something else, more efficient. I think I'll come up with a better title than Stab. But just let's just have this moment, because I'm very happy that my examples, my projects are coming to life. This power, this fear manipulating power, it's so useful. As you see this black dark energy around Deku's hand. So Deku, trained for the next week or so, and this time his new target was the Invisible Girl, but heavily security was everywhere. And this is where the ghost intangibility would be coming, and the stealth part would be coming in too. So Ghostface would be studying the Invisible Girl, learning her routes, learning how to counter each and every route she took, the in and out of her house, the window system, everything that Deku could see or learn about the Invisible Girl, he learned, he studied. So Deku was using each and every one of his counters, sometimes following her. Well, not necessarily following her too much. He kept his distance because following her would cause up suspicion, as a person following you every store that you went to, it's kind of scary. So Deku would be studying the Invisible Girl for just a week, as he sensed this as a fast kill, a very easy target at that. And the only thing he would have to do is something about her invisibility. But not necessarily. So on one night, as the Invisible Girl's on her way home, her parents are supposed to come get her. And this is where a hero was with her. Midnight. You see, Invisible Girl asked Midnight to just stay with her until her parents get there, and because it was getting late, and if anybody did sneak up on them, Midnight could just put them to sleep. Oh, did they have another thing coming? As Deku did see this was not so much of a bust, but now he has another person there, and if he doesn't kill her now, he will never get the chance to. So he has to attack, and he has to attack quick. So Deku just unleashed his bloodlust as it got heavier and heavier, and Midnight saying, "No, I have to attack, I have to react." And she instantly falls to her knees with her tendons of her ankles being slit. And Deku just comes out of nowhere like a ghost and jumps on Midnight, stabbing her dead in the head so fast that she didn't even see it coming, and Deku would just unleash relentless stabs to her body. Deku, in that mist, would see that the Invisible Girl let out a huge scream as Deku just horrifically stabbed Midnight over and over and over and over as the blood trickled from his knife, and he kicked her lifeless body away. Deku then rushed at the invisible girl. She tried to run away, throwing paint on her body just so he can see where she goes. Because she was trying to undress just to like blend in or get away. And Deku wasn't having that. Deku threw the knife into her leg, making her fall, pulling it out in a painful way. Deku then grabbed her by her hair, well, her paint-soaked hair, and lifted her up, stabbing her in the back one time as she tried to run away again, then catching her, putting his arm around her neck and stabbing her again in the back again. And she pulled away, pushing him off, and then he ran up again, grabbed Invisible Girl by the neck, wrapping his arm like in form of a chokehold, and stabbing her 2 more times before just putting and plunging the knife and sticking it in deeper and deeper and lifting it up and pulling it out as she then fell on the ground crying, blood just coming out her mouth, and she's trying to get to safety. She's trying to run as she's seeing Ghostface standing there just waving at her. And she's just trying to get away as you see this dramatic music playing. She's trying to get to safety as when she gets to the main road, Ghostface is gone by now. She gets to the main road and she sees her parents saying, sweetheart, are you okay? Are you okay? Oh my God. And the invisible girl just falls dead. Her parents are hysteric. That made her like hysterically, I don't know how to say that. Her parents are just distraught. They're emotional. They're broken. They don't know what the fuck is going on. What happened to you? They're trying to scream out to get a response, but she's losing consciousness. She's losing blood. A lot of it. She's dying. And then her body just goes cold. They see the blood trail. Or they see someone else in the little not alleyway. They see someone else laying there dead. Body ragged or roughed up. And now, this is war. This is a warful season as Deku has just killed Midnight and Invisible Girl. 2 more casualties. Now the UA has initiated war against Ghostface and told him that we're going to find you and we're going to bring you to justice, even if we have to break every single bone in your body. Ghostface, Deku, he laughed at this and said, well, I knew it was a matter of time before this would happen, as I did claim a lot of people. But this right here, this was too far. This is way too far. This is getting out of control as All Might slammed his fist into a table, breaking it. And All Might would just grind his teeth in so much anger that this villain, whoever he is, he doesn't deserve the luxury of living. Like All Might literally was thinking of killing Ghostface just to get rid of the evil that he was. Then this portal would open as Deku's in his house and he's just doing a lot of studying on basically just low level criminals and stuff like that, or low level thugs, or someone he just wants to kill or implement fear into. This purplish portal would open and Kurogiri would step out and Deku would instantly just raise an eyebrow to him saying, oh, so you're that villain Kurogiri who works with Shigaraki. And Kurogiri would be surprised about this, given the fact that Deku knows anything about him. So Kurogiri would look at Deku and say, how do you know my name? And Deku would touch his head saying, I do a lot of studying. But it seems you came here because you know my alter ego. My alter ego. You know I am behind the Ghostface mask, aren't you? And this is what Kurogiri would say. It wasn't that hard to figure out. I guess because we have a leader that basically did some digging and he found out that you were behind the mask. But we're not here to cause a fight or anything like that. I'm here to recruit you. My boss wants to meet you. I'll meet your boss tomorrow. Right now, there's this one chick that I'm studying, that I've been watching for a while. After I deal with her, I'll come with you. I'll come and see what you guys are talking about. Just make it interesting for me. So Deku would go out into the night and he would encounter this girl as he thought she was, well, supposed to be a target, given the fact that she had this beautiful blonde hair. She had these vampire-like teeth and she wore a skirt with this beige kind of sweater, and she always had this tube on her back or something like that. So he would rush her, but she would counterattack Deku, basically slamming him against the ground and getting on top of him, sticking him in the side of something and saying, "Who?" She would like, "Who the hell are you?" And Deku would smile, and like he took off his mask to reveal his face to her and saying, "You're Himiko Toga. I've had a crush on you for a long, long time. How about we go out on a date?" And Himiko Toga would be very attracted to Izuku, just like she was in the original. Very attracted to him when she has his blood, but Deku would ask her, "What is your quirk? I just want to know, like, why you, of all people, didn't become a hero." And she would say, "Well, a hero doesn't ingest blood. Basically, my quirk is if I drink someone else's blood, I become that person for a brief amount of time." And this is where Deku would say that's a cool quirk. But anyway, I'm not here to discuss about your quirk. He would grab Toka by the jawline and saying, "Just like I've told you, I've had a crush on you for a long time." And this would make Toka blush as Deku and Toka would start dating. And they would be dating for about 3 or 4 weeks. And now we're going to say this is around the time that Shigaraki is getting ready to plan the attack on the USJ. So the USJ arc would go this way. Let's get into it. And now this, I'm going to ask you now. Click off if you do not want to hear what's going to happen in this part. Click off because it gets very brutal, very graphic, and it's going to make you, I'm talking, it's like you're going to be like, "What? Why? Oh my God." So Deku and like Toga, they would be dating for like 3 weeks and everything, getting very comfortable with each other, getting very interactive with each other, and to the point that Deku would grown very protective over Toka. Anyone who ever would think to hurt her is deemed someone that he has to kill. And Toga would be the same way as anyone who would threaten to come near Izuku or try to hurt him. She would break their neck in an instant. These two were a psychotic couple. And a psychotic couple can be dangerous. Very dangerous. Did you ever see Joker and Harley? Yeah. Imagine Ghostface and Toka Himiko. Yeah. They're going to be very dangerous. Now, we get into the part where Shigaraki is discussing the attack and getting ready. All plans are getting settled. And this is where Ghostface would come into the picture. Deku would take off his mask and Shigaraki would take off the thing on his hands. And this is where Deku would say, "I know about you a lot, Shigaraki, and I know that you have this kind of Nomu character to fight against All Might. But let me do the fighting. Let me be one of your subordinates. 'Cause better than that Nomu there, 'cause I can sense that he's gonna fail." And Shigaraki would say, "Oh, how so?" "He has a bunch of quirks, and he has shock absorption, and he also can regenerate, and with also super strength too." And this is where Deku would say, "Yeah, I get all he has all these key roles to play against All Might, but I have something else incredibly different that'll make the hero, the symbol of peace, fall to his knees. Just by the mere sight of your boss." And this is where Shigaraki would smile and say, "What do you mean?" So Deku would make a physical manifestation of All For One right in front of all of them. And this is where Shigaraki would be like jaw dropped to the point that this guy can create something like that. And Deku would go to say is, "I can create this guy right here." And basically from what I've learned is that All Might and this guy have a history together. So I wonder if I were to conjure up this physical form of All for One, even though it's not a real form, All Might would incredibly target this fake All for One. And this is where it gets interesting because he won't be fighting anything. It will just be something of his pigment, like a pigment of his imagination, something that's extracted from his mind, his thoughts. He will be swinging at nothing, basically looking like he's going crazy. And that's where I would go in for the kill. And Shigaraki would think about this, but he would say, I really hope this works, because if it doesn't, then I'm going to be extremely mad that you failed. Something like that would deserve death, wouldn't it? And this is what Deku would say, I would have it no other way. If I fail, I will let you kill me. Deal? And Shigaraki would say, we have a deal. So the whole attack on the USJ would happen with Shoto Aizawa basically, well, this time, Shoto Aizawa will be getting bested by Ghostface. And this is where Shoto Aizawa would turn off Ghostface's quirk and he would feel a sense of relief, but not too much of feeling two like knives just piercing his eyes as Himiko Toga jumped on his back and stabbed him directly in the eyes. And she would say, as long as you don't have these things, you can't turn off my boyfriend's power. So this is gonna be fun. As she took her knives out of Aizawa's sockets and kicked him towards the ground, Deku grabbed Shoto Aizawa by the hair and ferociously punched him in the stomach till he coughed up gags of blood, and then grabbed his knife and stabbed him dead in the neck, basically dragging it across the whole inch, basically slitting his throat. As the blood poured on the ground, Shoto Aizawa was losing consciousness. He could barely speak as the wall of the USJ came busting open. You hurt these kids, I will destroy you all. Do not worry, because I am here. And this is where Deku would have a very menacing smile as his bloodlust would get higher and higher and higher to the point that the villains would feel the lust of, like the bloodlust of Deku. They would feel how heavy it is, but it wouldn't affect them as it is affecting the heroes. The heroes, on the other hand, the students, the kids were on their knees, gagging, throwing up, scared, panting, crying, trying, like they don't know what's going on. As All Might, he sees Ghostface and rushes at him and throws a ferocious punch. He throws a huge punch at Ghostface, but Ghostface just he goes right through him and saying, this ghost intangibility came very, very in handy. But you're not fighting me, All Might. You're fighting this guy. And All Might would look over to see All for One. And this is where All Might's fist would grow clenched as, what's going on? All Might would rush All for One because he doesn't know what he's capable of doing. And he has no time to focus on Ghostface right now. At least that's what All Might thinks. Because he thinks that this All for One character is physically there. As All for One is talking to him with some dialogue saying, it seems like you're getting slower. Your friend over there is dying, All Might. What happened to you? As All Might and All for One would get into a physical battle from All Might's perspective, or that at least that's what he's seeing right now. They would get into a physical battle, throwing blows, punching, kicking, all that kind of stuff. And this is where All Might would feel a sharp pain in his side as a knife plunged into his side, and he would scream out in agony as it came. 1, 2, 3, 4, over and over. All Might would gag up blood, basically losing his buff form. His body was half buff and half skinny as he was falling to the ground on his knees. All Might was shocked. The physical manifestation of All for One disappeared. It was gone. And the only person that stood there was Ghostface and Himiko Toga. They were looking at him. Toga had a sadistic smile on her face. And Deku's bloodlust was so heavy that all the kids in the vicinity went unconscious. They fell unconscious. Trying to keep their eyes open, they couldn't because it was too heavy. They were too scared. They were blacked out. That's all that happens. As All Might looked at the person in front of him, and he took off his mask just to reveal himself, because this was the last face that All Might was going to see. And this is where Izuku bent down and he said, "You remember saying that I couldn't be a hero? Well, All Might, look at all this skill. Look what I've accomplished. I've brought the symbol of peace to his knees. And one more thing, just to make you lose all hope. You see that guy over there? You see that kid right there? That's your mentor's son. You could have made him a hero. You could have been there for him. Instead, he went down this dark path with no one to turn to. Only the role model of All for One." And this is where it would break All Might's soul. All Might would start delivering he would buff back up, but he would still be coughing up a lot of blood and bleeding. And he would send out punches at Himiko, Toka, and all them. As Toka would dodge, and she would just barely dodge, getting out of the way of All Might's punches. And this is where Deku would sling Toga over there by Shigaraki as telling her to get out of the way before she gets hurt. And he really has to hurt this guy in a more brutal way. So as Deku's just dodging All Might blows left to right, just jumping up and dodging each strike or counter strike that he has delivered at All Might's way. He's trying his hardest to hit Deku, but he's losing more blood as his form, he just buffs down into Small Might. And he's this in strain. And Deku just walks up to him, kicks him in the stomach hard as All Might falls to the ground coughing up blood, and then he elbows the back of his neck. And then he picks All Might up by the neck and saying, "Now, All Might, I want to let you know this before you die. I'm going to become the symbol of fear. And don't feel bad. Everyone meets their maker someday, you know." As Deku would unleash various amounts of stabs to All Might's body. Him and Toga would join. Well, Toga would join in because she didn't want Deku to have all the fun to himself. And All Might's body would be a mutilated corpse. He would be there dead. The symbol of peace is dead. And that was a mission complete. As the villains, they left, leaving the kids unconscious, leaving Shoto Aizawa on the brink of death, and leaving All Might dead on the floor. Thank you guys for staying in tune to What If Deku Was GhostFace Part 2. And without any further ado, you guys already know the deal. Every day is Halloween. Plus Ultra.
Awful too.